In case you missed it, your host Kayla Blakesley is at it again. What did she say this time? Tune in to find out right now.
After months and months of campaigning, a razor-thin finish, and quite frankly, just weeks of recount drama here. One of the closest races, I would say, in the entire state is officially over. State Senator Liz Brown will return to the ballot this November after Republican challenger Darren Vogt ended his recount effort. And the final margin here was just 14 votes out of nearly 11,000 cast. And Senator Liz Brown, she's actually joining us live in studio here at the mic to talk the recount, to talk campaign, and essentially where things go from here. So, Senator, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. This is your first time to mic. What do you think of our new digs?
Yes, I said it's like so cool. It's like a gamer and a race car driver all in one right here.
Like it meets one. Like they had a baby, and it is
yeah,
our studio.
They had a big baby.
I have yet to hear anyone describe it like that. I like it. I might have to steal that. Well, Senator, here we are. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
After what seems like forever. It seems like it's been going. Like I said, we've had the campaigning, we've had the recount request, we've had all of this uncertainty, and finally it's over. How do you feel? What's your reaction?
I mean, we assumed this was how it was going to end, but obviously it dragged out a lot longer than it needed to be quite frank. If you talk to anybody who's done this before and you talk to attorneys, they knew that it was pretty unlikely that you would overturn that many votes, even though it doesn't seem like very many. You have to disenfranchise voters, essentially, and take their vote away, or the flip side is you have to try to count votes that are illegal and shouldn't be counted. And that was the tactic my opponent used. It didn't work, or eventually he pulled his petition, but it dragged on. It costs a lot of money, but I'm glad it's over, and I just hope the party unifies now.
Let me ask you this. If the roles were reversed, and we're talking here a 14-vote margin, right? I mean, would you have requested a recount?
I don't think so. I probably would have talked to some lawyers who have expertise in this area. But as I said, we talked to a lot. Some of the lawyers we approached, for example, in the beginning, were already taking other contests across the state. But to a person, they said, this is not going to change, even though it seems like a small number of ballots statistically. What bothered me the most, I'll say, is that our Allen County Election Board, which people have to remember, Republicans are in control here. And they have done a fabulous job over the years of making sure that every legal ballot is counted. And they've gone out of their way in terms of making sure when you walk into a polling place, they try to accommodate you. If they think something's not quite right, you get a provisional ballot so that they can double check, so you have the opportunity to vote. If for some reason, your license has a middle name of C and you don't, or whatever the reason is. But we don't have any thing nefarious going on here. And so having talked to lawyers, it wouldn't have changed. And also, I have always had confidence in Allen County Election Board and how they run the elections. And so with that combination, no, I would have realized this is a Sisyphus type of thing. It's not going to change anything, and we're just going to waste people's time and money. Need to move on and look to November and unify the party. And it has been a little disappointing that my opponent, some of the people who backed him, have not been willing to do that and move on.
Well, speaking of confidence in the process, Darren actually released a pretty lengthy statement basically saying, that this whole process, this recount process, actually did strengthen his confidence in, our election system. Do you think that's maybe the important takeaway from all of this?
I hope so. I mean, people need to understand there were two asks, so to speak, of the State Recount Commission. First was the recount. So we have the election day. 10 days later, you have the certification. They found one vote. So it was, instead of 15, I won by 14. But then when you ask for a recount, you're saying check everything again, right? The machines are what the machines are. They have a double built-in backup, if you will. But the contest piece, petitioning for contesting it, means you think something was not done correctly. You think someone cheated. You think the machines didn't work right. You think somebody messed with the machines and things. That was the other request. And I think people don't understand that, but I also think people need to understand that questions the integrity of our elections. And we are in a solid Republican state, and I think people should know in Allen County especially, that our elections are safe and secure.
For what it's worth, we did try to drive home that it really was a two-parter there back when it was requested. But, I mean, this race drew some major involvement. Let's put it that way. I know you know that. We had involvement from Senator Jim Banks, from Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. Do you think this campaign, in a way, exposed maybe a larger divide among the Republican Party than realized?
I don't think it's the party that's divided. I mean, obviously, there were some strong individuals against me, and it is disappointing that they continue the narrative that I'm a liberal, I'm a liar. I could not be more pro-life conservative, and that's what the people elected me before, and that's why they've elected me again, and that's what I will do when I go down to the State House in the fall. And I think I've seen some of my opponent's supporters saying they're going to vote for a Democrat. So you're going to vote for a socialist who's...
Because her name's Julie, right? Is that her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could not be more pro-choice, pro-abortion, LGBTQIA plus community, anything they want, taxes on everyone, whatever, right? That's the party you're going to vote for. So we can have our differences of opinion, but when my opponent's supporters, his prominent supporters, come out against me, are you really asking people who supported Darren to vote for a Democrat?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what we want. I think what we want is the party to unify. Elections can be ugly. This one was a hard one. It was an expensive one. But it's time to move on.
I always say for a party to be successful, your mission has to be greater than your disagreements. And I feel like that's where we are as we head to November. And speaking of, as we do head toward November, as I mentioned, with Julie McGill, is that who you'll be running? Is that right? Is that her name? Correct. Okay. What will be your priorities then heading into November? How do you gear up for that?
So we know we're coming into a budget year, right? And so that's going to be the most important thing. Our governor is adamant that with this surplus, we try to return value to the taxpayers. Looking forward on the Appropriations Committee to working with him and helping him do that. We're still trying to work on our Medicaid costs because that's something the state bears to a certain degree as well as the federal government, but those are all our tax dollars. So that health care issue is going to be an important one too. So that's what I'm going to be focused on. Of course, I'm going to bring back my biological truth bill. It stopped in the House. Make sure we get that done and then try to work with probably, I assume, Senator Johnson's going to bring back his abortion pill bill in some form, and that is so important.
Yeah, it is.
That discussion, that issue, I shouldn't say discussion, that issue is not going away. It's actually getting worse, I think. And I think people don't see it because you don't see the abortion clinics anymore. And so that's something we have to work on, too.
Well, a lot to obviously talk about in the days and weeks and months ahead. But be honest, between now and November, how thankful are you that we get to quit talking about the recount?
Yes, I think, a lot of money was spent. And people, they don't realize how much dark money came in my campaign. And, I have President Trump endorsing me on one side and Governor Braun endorsing me and moving forward on pro-life agenda and a conservative agenda. And then we have people on the other side. A lot of money spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, the decision has been made. Let's move on and let's unify the party. That is the most important thing. We've got to get every Republican to come out and vote because it is going to be quite an election at the top with this Secretary of State's race.
When Darren dropped the recount request, what's the first thing you did or said when you found that out? Trying to remember. It was a couple of days ago.
Trust me, I do remember. It's like, yes.
You can't say that on the air, can you, Senator?
No. I knew it was not going to change anything. Yeah. The petition that my opponent filed was asking for them, the only path forward to win was to count votes illegally, count votes that came in after the deadline. We don't do that in Indiana. It wasn't going to change. So it just, it was one day sooner getting the final result. So, I was happy, but I wasn't really surprised.
Well, Senator, we appreciate you coming in studio. Like I said, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about between now and November. So let's just say buckle up and get ready. How about that?
There you go.
Best of luck. That's State Senator. That's right. Start your engines. Here in our race car studio. That's State Senator Liz Brown joining us live here on WOWO. Hey, it's KB. As a show of appreciation for listening, use my promo code WOWO for deep discounts on all kinds of products at MyPillow.com. That's promo code WOWO.
Podcasts by Federated Media.